knowing that there's an alternative.
Cool. All right. Well, we're going live for the first time into my Design Your Retirement Life channel, and I'm really excited because I've got a lovely friend called Britton. And actually, when Dee and I first met, this is a funny story, we actually realised that we went to the same school in Victoria and we dated the same bloke. How's that? How's that for a bit weird? But anyway, Dee has got an amazing business that she is running, and she's got a lot of followers, and she's doing really, really well in this. And I wanted to bring her on. She was very, very kind and said, look, I'd love to come on and chat to you about designing your retirement life and how she's actually doing that. So, Dee, I'm going to hand it over to you pretty much. We had a quick chat beforehand about my idea of this. It's to share with women and men about the fact there are other options out there, and whether they choose to use the option that we're using, which is the magic, or they choose to do something else. I just want to be able to invite people to explore getting out of that corporate world and doing something different that is going to set them up really, really well for a fantastic retirement plan. And, you know, you can retire even earlier. Like, we've got people in our business who are 30 years old who have already retired. So, yeah, it's quite extraordinary. So, Dee, please go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about your thoughts.
Amazing. Thank you, Fee. I'm so excited to be here. And yeah, I just love the synchronicities. Like, I don't believe there's any coincidences that we are both here on the sunny coast together now as well. And I love that, there were so many things that came up when we had that first chat. It was like, oh my gosh. So very excited not only to just be here with you today, but to be here on the sunny coast with you as well, and in the same community. So a couple of things have come up for me around this conversation. One is that as a primary school teacher trained, we have an education system that teaches people to go to work in a job for other people generally, and then that leads to working for someone for a very long time. Well, in the old paradigm, that's how it was, not so much for our children and the younger generation moving forward. But definitely that's how we were brought up and our parents were brought up. I look at my parents, Fee, and I look, my mum especially, she put so many years into the educational system. Like, she was a teacher from the time she was in her early 20s into her 60s. And like, what did she get at the end of it? Like, yes, she got a retirement, but it was nothing really. Like, I still see they have that scarcity mindset around things, or that's too expensive, I can't afford it. After she gave so much of her life to a job and to a system. And my dad was the same. He was in the banking sector. And, it's just, we're taught to, through education, go to school, get good grades, work really hard, go to university, get a job and work for somebody. And I love that we have come across, I'm not sure about you, Fee, but for me, I didn't believe I was looking for something when this came into my vortex, but, I'm all about energy and what we're putting out there. So I believe I called it in, and I'm so grateful that I did. And the second one I really want to talk to before I go into more around what we do is the word retirement. Like, how crazy is it that we are led to believe that we work a certain amount of hours every week for a certain amount of years so we can retire? And it's like
67 as well. You're so old then. You know what I mean? Like I don't mean it like as in like we're getting close to that, but I just mean at 67, they're saying that's when you can retire and reach into your super. And like, I talk a lot about that on the channel, about the fact that people don't even know what their superannuation is and how much money they've got in there. And that's really scary, especially for women, because we just don't get as much super as we think maybe we should have. And, that's just scary. And the idea of retiring at 67 and then going, oh, great, now I can go off and enjoy my life. It's like crazy.
Yeah. And do you know what retirement actually means? To retire means to be put out to pasture. And you know what do we, when we put an animal out to pasture, we put them in a paddock to die.
Yes. I did that with my horses, bless them.
Yeah. And how many people do we know that, or have we heard of, that do work for so many years and then, oh my gosh, they get to the end of their life and they go, oh my gosh, I get to retire and get to live life on my terms.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they get sick. And, I've heard plenty of times that people have died not long after retiring. And so the system has it all wrong. There are so many different ways that we can create an income and a sustainable income. And I love our model too, Fee, because we get to go to legacy income. And so many people around us, some in their 20s, it just blows my mind. Some in their 30s, 40s, 50s are creating this legacy income where they are getting paid monthly, where they show up or not. And then they get to will it to their children. Imagine if corporations actually did that.
I know. That's what I love the most, actually, is it's like, yes, we can build something that's really, really great for us and sustainable. But the fact that we can then will it onto our children and, pass it on to a family member is just extraordinary, because we're actually then setting up generational wealth, which is so different, as you said, to being in a corporate industry. It's just incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just quickly share a story of, we have a lady who was in our community and she unfortunately passed away. And because of what she had built, like, her children are still growing the business because of what she built. She's not at legacy, but they're still getting paid and they can still go to legacy even though she's not here anymore. And so my question to so many people that are watching this is like, what does legacy mean to you? So for me, legacy is what we get to leave behind once we're gone. And like, yes, we can have an inspirational legacy, or we can write a book and it can be a legacy. And that's all great. But what do we get to leave behind for our children, for our children's children, for generations to come? And for me, if I can leave behind a wealth legacy, then that is phenomenal, as well as an inspirational legacy and an impact legacy.
Yeah.
So, but retirement from a job, does that leave a legacy?
Well, no, as soon as I was talking about that yesterday, actually, and just saying that people forget that when they stop that income stream, that there's nothing else. It's like, as we said, the corporation that you're currently working within doesn't then go, oh, here's a little bit more money to just keep you going while you retire at 67. No, it's all done. It's finished. And that's when you've got to rely on either the pension and a combination of your superannuation, or otherwise some people don't even have super. They've never really had a full-time job or really had a lot of super to back themselves up on, and they're completely relying on the pension. And in Australia especially, we hear all the time about how the pension just isn't growing with the way that society is growing. And there's a lot of pensioners that are hungry and are not in a home. And that really saddens me, and it scares me too, because I don't want that to happen to people. I don't think that's right. So I think it's really important that we get out there and share this opportunity and other opportunities with as many people as possible. And people have got to stop being so closed-minded and worried about the what ifs and give it a try, because you haven't got anything to lose by giving it a try. You've only got something to gain. And I've gained so much in the time that I've already been within this organization, just from personal growth. And, there was years ago that I would never have got on live and done anything like this with you, or, being confident enough to just sort of chat on a TikTok and say to people, hey, wake up, there's other opportunities out there. It's just a changing world. It's incredible what's out there, the opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. Like, there are so many different things, but I haven't seen a lot that have legacy wealth like we have legacy wealth. And, one of our mentors was chatting the other day, and she is in her mid-30s now. She could have retired in her early 30s, yet she was broke a few years prior to that, because she decided she'd done a lot of inner work and personal development. And she had, she's an entrepreneur from an early age, but she had tried so many things and failed. Yet I don't look at anything like that as failure. It's all like learnings and lessons to take us to the next step. And she could have retired like years ago, but the vision on her heart is so much bigger. And so when I look at it, Fee, it's about us having choices. And I've always said I have no plans to retire, because when we do what we love, we can do it forever.
Yep.
And, Wes and I left in 2017 and we started traveling full time. And so many people said to us, oh my gosh, like, but you're like, I was in my 40s back then. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're doing it so young. I said, well, who says that you have to wait till you're a freaking grey nomad to travel around Australia in a caravan? Like, when we have something like this as well, not only do we get to be able to create a retirement fund, we get to live location free if we are creating an income. And it doesn't matter where we are. And I'm so blessed I'm, on the sunny coast right now. But I had 3 years of travel before I got here. And the time that Wes and I had together as empty nesters I was in my 40s, he just turned 50. And it was like such beautiful, experiences and memories that we've created at a young age. And my thing was, I want to go places and still be able to climb mountains, and the same for Wes, like still be able to just play golf and be on the farm and do things like that as we travel. Because I think, so many people wait till they get to a certain age that they've been told to do these things, and then their body just doesn't allow them to do the things that they desired as well. So for me, there is not a retirement age. And like Christy was mentioning, my vision is so big on my heart that I'm going to keep doing it as long as I possibly can, whether, and you can see my elephant in the background here, and I put up a post around that and me going and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro next year. It's like, I plan to do that and, travel the world and climb mountains for as long as I can. So when my children's children are like, have got grandparents' day or something, go, oh, my grandma, she's parachuting, or she's on a safari in Africa right now, just to show younger generations, the generations that are following us, what is actually possible, because wealth gives us choices. And this is where I see that so many women, even our age, cannot afford to do what they desire after they have raised a family, after they have worked for so many years. And that literally sucks.
Yeah. And I wanted to just stem back to when you were saying that you had that travel time with Wes, which I think is just beautiful, because we hear a lot on social media, because we all watch it. I think really interesting about the empty nest syndrome of when your children leave. The two people have often been in corporate jobs and working for years and years and years. And so they come home, they look after the children, they go to work again. And every so often they might be clever enough to have a date night, or they might be, happy enough to catch up with each other on the weekend. But all of a sudden they hit 67 and they don't have any children left. And all of a sudden they're meant to just be together. And we hear about a lot of divorces that go on in that sort of later stage of life, because those two people don't connect and they don't know each other anymore. And that seems so sad to me, that they've lost that connection, and it's due to the fact of the way that they've currently lived. And I know I'm being very, very, I'm just being very broad about that, it doesn't happen to everybody, but you hear about it so much. And I think that part of the reason that is because people don't stay connected. And by finding because you're struggling to get money all the time. You're out there and you're trying to get your children through school and, just run life, and you're living paycheck to paycheck, and you don't have any time to connect and be together. And by finding another source of income, something else that allows you, as you said, for a moment to sort of breathe, you can actually start to integrate those little moments more often, because you've got a little bit extra money, and that connection can stay a little bit better, like you and Wes did. You spent 3 years traveling around Australia together. There's a lot of people that still can't afford to do that. And I'm sure, and I'm not saying you and Wes had any marital problems at all, but I'm just saying, but I'm sure that helps keep you together. being able to spend that time together and do that sort of thing. And Drew and I are very, very adamant. We've still got children at school. I'm a bit of an older mum, but we make time for each other, and we go traveling together. Like, we actually spend time, and we'll book a holiday and we'll go off, and he's into Ironman and triathlons and stuff, and we'll travel together and go overseas, and the children are at school, and we go and we spend that time together, and you just can't beat it. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have a bit of extra income coming in. So yeah, I really admire that you and Wes went and did that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I love that. And to be honest, show me a marriage that hasn't had marital problems and I'll show you a liar.
Absolutely.
And they're coming up to 30 years. Like, next year we get to celebrate our 30th wedding anniversary. And, actually I just booked accommodation in Japan. So we are going to
I would like to do that too. It's so cool. I know, very exciting.
So, I just think I love the time that we have together, but also I don't want to be together all the time either. And when we were traveling, we did a lot of house sits. So, he was out doing what he loves and being with animals and stuff. And I was able to work online. And he was like the house husband. Like, he did the cooking, the cleaning, the shopping, the washing, everything. And I was the one that brought in the income. And when we look at generations, how many, and I look at one of my grandmothers, especially, like, she was such a beautiful, talented woman, but she was a stay-at-home mum her entire life. She supported the family while, my grandpa earned the income. And now that's not so much, but I love that we're changing up paradigms, and especially in our industry right now, it is creating so many female millionaires where the females are becoming the income earners and retiring their husbands and bringing them home. So not necessarily retiring themselves, but I'm seeing so many dads coming home and being there in their children's lives, and that really lights me up as well.
Yeah. So Dee, how did you find Enagic? Like, how did you find this incredible business that we're both in and we both love?
Like I just mentioned, Finn, great question. I believe it found me. Okay. And so when we were traveling, I was working remotely as a fitness educator, and I was building my health coaching business. So I started to be a coach about 12 years ago. And my thing was, coaching is the industry that is going to, create my millions. And so when I was building this business, I was putting so much time into the back end. I was building funnels. I was creating a website and a blog and doing everything myself. And while I was doing that, I was following somebody on social media, my beautiful mentor, Ali May. I didn't know her. I just somehow started following her. And I just became really curious about what she was sharing. And so I followed it and I followed it. And then she did a call to action about a masterclass, and I reached out and I jumped in. And to be honest, I thought, wow, how did I not know about this? Being a personal trainer for like 23 years, and I did not know about this company. I thought I was a water snob. So while we were traveling, I would buy the 10 liter puree, water, because I was a water snob. I don't drink tap water. And now looking back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know anything about water to what I know now. And it was like, oh my gosh, I'm jumping in. But then, to be honest, I said no. I'm focused on building my coaching business. This isn't for me. But I'm also very intuitive. And so when I sat with my decision, everything just kept coming back to, no, this is what you get to do. And this is where you get to make a bigger impact. And you don't have to do everything yourself. And so, being a personal trainer for so many years, I ran all my own businesses. I did everything myself back then as well. The marketing, the finance, everything. I did it myself. And so to all of a sudden something be presented where I didn't have to create it all by myself. I just had to show up authentically as myself, and people got to know, like, and trust me and go, what are you doing? I want to live a life like you. And that's how I've been able to grow my business. So I'm so glad that I did listen to my gut feeling, because I believe that we are showing things because that's what we're asking for. and it's like, if we can sit with ourselves and go, okay, well, am I getting in my own way by saying no to something, or, or why am I being shown this right now? Like, to really get curious.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that you're saying that, because I think a lot of people ignore that. They ignore what they're being shown or what they actually pause at, because everyone flicks through social media really quickly these days. But there'll be sometimes that you do actually pause for a moment and you need to stop and go, why am I pausing here? But people don't do that, or they don't see it enough. But that's why they I think that the rule is now, it used to be sort of, for marketing, it was always show people 3 or 4 times and they'll understand. And now it's got up to something like 18 times or something ridiculous.
It's 21, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it's crazy. So, maybe they need to flick by and stop 21 times for it to really sink in. But yeah, what you're saying is stop for a moment and think, why am I pausing, or why am I being shown this? I think that's just such good advice. Such good advice.
Yeah. And I like to bring this together. Like, we've already talked about relationships and, and we've talked about like the business. Okay. So if we look at business, anybody that's in business, and this is where I had to look at myself, was my coaching business bringing in what I desired? And the answer was no. And so if we ask ourselves that question, we go, okay, well, how can I pivot? And I see so many people in coaching businesses, in low ticket network marketing businesses, and they feel like that they're just pushing through. They're pushing through. They love the product. They love what they do, but it's not creating the life that they desire. But they're feeling that they're they're tied to it, or they're loyal to it for whatever
they owe
reason.
it something. I think people feel they owe it something. Like, people forget, you go to work and you actually get paid for what you do. You don't owe work anything. You actually get paid for that. So you don't owe, like, I remember I worked for a dental company years ago, and I remember I was with them for maybe about 6 years or something, and something came up and we were out somewhere, and I went and I said to the owner, there was something going, I can't remember what it was, but something along the lines of, he was just saying, everyone's replaceable. And I said, well, I'm not. I said, I'm really loyal to you and your family and the company. And he just looked at me and he goes, you're not a family member. You're replaceable. And I was just like, whoa. It was like, it hit me like a brick wall. I was like, holy, and I think I was like, I don't know, maybe just 30 or something like that. And I was just like, oh my God, that's so true. He pays me a wage to do what I do, and I did it really well, and they weren't going to fire me or anything. That wasn't happening. But it was just, when he said that, it made me really realize that a lot of people feel that they owe their business, the people that they're working for, something. You don't owe them anything. Nothing.
No.
Because there's no loyalty anymore. That doesn't exist like it did with our parents. Like, my dad said, I worked at Myers. He's 87 now, and he was like, I worked at Myers, and Myers were very good to me, and you could work up through the ranks. That doesn't happen anymore. You don't get to work up through the ranks and start in the mailroom and then end up CEO of the company. It just doesn't happen. So, it's just crazy the way that people feel that they're loyal to something. And what's that saying that everyone always puts up on the internet? What's keeping you so loyal to something that, what is it? It.
Keeping you to a life that's keeping you so stuck.
Stuck. Yeah.
This is where I want to relate it to a relationship. If you are in a relationship and it's not what you desire, and you keep putting in time, but you're not getting out of it what you desire, do you stick with it? Like, well, I'd like to think that people would say no, but I see that, they're being loyal to a business or a job, that they do that too. And I love that you shared that, because if we think about it, let's talk about death, because it's something that we don't talk about enough, but it's something that's going to happen to all of us at some stage. Is that, say, for example, if you or I passed away today and we were in a job, like you said, that job would then go back up on Seek or something within the next couple of days. Like, yes, you're a good employee and everything, but you are replaceable, and they will replace you ASAP. And then you're generally forgotten about. But if something happens and we've got to, we've built a business, or we've even got to legacy wealth, then we know that we don't have to be replaced, but we know that money is going to continue to come in. Employer doesn't keep paying your family once you die, but a business model like ours does.
Yeah. So Dee, we'll wrap it up a little bit because I don't want to keep, I'd love to keep talking to you because I think you're amazing. You've done such a good job with your business and I just love it. What would your advice be to someone that does watch this and sort of goes, yeah, you know what, the fence sitters, we all have them, we all know them, I've been them, you've been it, you've said no, and then you've gone, hang on a sec, I've got to listen to myself, what's really going on. How would you encourage someone to take a little bit more of a look and feel that they can do it in a safe zone? You know, that like the one thing that I like so much about this, I guess, is the fact that you can actually go and research it and look at it and understand it a bit more, like through the masterclasses or things like that, without people really pressuring you. Because I feel sometimes a lot of the network marketing space, a lot of people feel very pressured if they say yes. So what would your advice be to people that watch this and reach out to us?
I would advise people to sit down and take like an honest look at where they are in life right now, like a really honest look, and ask themselves, or ask yourself if you're listening to this, if I continue to do what I'm doing right now, am I going to be living the life that I truly desire in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years? And if it's not a heck yes, then it's a heck no. And that's when we get to pivot. And that's what I had to ask myself. And it was a heck no. I didn't want to be doing that. I didn't want to, as a coach, I was still trading time for money. I was still having to write up all the programs, get on the calls with all of my clients. And yeah, it just wasn't something that lit me up moving forward. I love that I get to make an impact in people's lives, but it doesn't have to take up all my time. And I get to make money while I sleep. And I get to help people make an amazing impact in so many people's lives because I can coach them as they are my business partners, and we get to grow together. And you spoke about before, it's like, this is pretty much like, personal development with an epic compensation plan on the back.
It is. It's exactly that. It so is. I see so many people that, so many ladies that reach out to me and go, I'm just stuck, or I'm really flat, or like, all of us going through perimenopause and menopause, and that can be, that's a whole nother subject, but all that sort of stuff. But we're getting all of this, beautiful coaching and support and connection and community and everything like that around us, plus getting paid for it at the same time. It's a great way to phrase it. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of it like that, but it's very true. Very true.
And so it costs nothing to be curious. And I also love that you mentioned how much of in integrity we are with our business, and we're all about, being in alignment. So if somebody comes in and takes a look and it's not in alignment, then that is perfect, because we truly it's not about a sale for us. It's about doing life with people that light us up. And, it's just everything I feel is heart-centered. And this is where we can make more conscious decisions. And also, one thing I love, and I'm going to do it right now, is I'm going to call bullshit and I'm going to call you forward, because truly, and let's go back to that question, what is keeping you so loyal to a life that's keeping you so stuck? So if you are not where you truly want to be, if your retirement plan does not look glamorous, whether you choose to retire in your 60s, 70s, whatever, it's like there's nothing to lose to get curious. There's no risk.
That's beautiful. Thanks, Dee. I think that's a perfect way to end. Thank you so much. Again, I appreciate you coming online today and having a chat. And I'm really excited. You're my first guest. So I'm really, really pumped that it was you and we got to talk so beautifully and openly about it. And that's, again, what I really, really love about it too. So everybody, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to reach out to Dee, I'll put Dee's contact details up as well, because she's a beautiful spirit, and the whole thing is that that's what I want everyone to understand, is our community is very open and we share everything, and there's no that's mine, or get your hands off. It's very, very open and very welcoming, and I'm sure Dee wouldn't mind if you reached out to her and asked her questions if you felt that you wanted to find out a little bit more about both of us and about what we're doing and all that sort of stuff. So thank you very much, Dee, and we'll catch you on the flip side. We'll get you back. I'll get you back again. in a
Such a
couple of months.
pleasure, and I'm so grateful. Yay, that I'm your first. Thank you so much, Fee. Thanks everyone for watching.
No problem. Bye.